It's time for the Money Puzzle Podcast, with good conversations and realistic solutions to the money puzzles we all face every day. I'm your host, financial advisor, chartered financial consultant, and president of Edgen Insurance and Financial, Robert Edgen. Now let's get this show started. Hi there, hello, and welcome to the Money Puzzle Podcast. I am Robert Edgen, and I'll be your guide for the ride for the next few minutes. Each week, we look at a different piece of the money puzzle and practical ways to solve it so you can have the financial confidence you deserve and the
future that you dream of.
That's right. The future that you dream of. That's Brian Johnson. I already called you the professor.
You did. Yeah. I don't know. I'm from Denver. Put it that way. I'm in our Denver office. He's in the Colorado Springs office.
Oh, my gosh. That's the most boring way to introduce you ever. But Brian Johnson, business partner from Denver, here in the studio with me. We're going to talk about the coronavirus. We're going to talk about noise versus news as well, just a little bit. Yeah. This was an email that we got from one of our clients here in the state of Colorado that said, what am I supposed to do? What do we need to do to adjust for the coronavirus? Which was a great question.
Yeah, all those questions are really good questions. So in reality, this person is younger, so they're not in retirement and stuff like that. So basically what we end up saying in this situation is just let's hold strong for right now.
So yes, but why? Let's talk about some coronavirus versus other viruses and some market statistics and things like that.
So SARS. Let's talk about SARS real quick. Remember that one? What year was that?
SARS was in 2003.
2003. Mm-hmm. And so what happened to the market in 2003?
The S&P index fell by 12.8% because of SARS. Right? I remember SARS happening.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember the talk about SARS. We don't remember it actually happening because it didn't happen here.
Well, correct. But remember the talk.
Yes, we remember the talk.
Right. And what did it cause? It caused the stock markets to fall by 12.8%.
Yeah. And we'll think about it this way. This is how I like to think about dips. I think about that as a dip. We have corrections every so often, and 10% is normal in any year period. 12.8, call it 13%, not so bad. But what that does is it creates opportunity for those of us who are still contributing to our retirement accounts.
How about 2015, the Zika virus? You remember Zika?
I don't. I do, but I don't. I didn't remember the name of it.
Okay. The Zika virus.
But it was very interesting in what the market went down.
12.9.
Yeah, virtually the same.
Yeah, so the SARS was 12.8, the Zika was 12.9. And now, and the reason that this came up, why we got this email, on Monday, the markets fell, about 3%?
Yeah, 1,000 points.
From when we're recording this.
3.5%.
Right?
Something like
that. So
3.5%.
It was the largest daily decline in 2 years, right? So it creates a little bit of fear. Right.
Everybody takes a deep breath. So
yeah, and it is true that it makes us question things, but we've been down this road many, many times before. We have. So far with the coronavirus, there's been 88 confirmed cases. 2,699 deaths, which obviously is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
So, but if we look at it, the actual coronavirus it peaked about a week ago.
It did, and rates have been coming down. I thought this was very interesting. So what has happened, the total active cases, this article that I read was written on the 25th. The total active cases is only 49,923, a drop of 15% from its peak of February 17th.
That's right. So over a 8-day period, went from 58,700 to 49,900 cases. So it's trending in the right way, but it still has people scared. And I know it has people scared because this morning at the gym, first, while I'm working out, I see that the markets were up 1.5, right? 1.5%.
Right.
But by the time I left, the CDC or the U.S. Health...
That was yesterday.
So, they came out and announced that, hey, we should be scared because it's not done yet. And then what happened today after they announced it?
Well, that was yesterday, and it dropped 900 points yesterday. We ended up down another 3% on Tuesday. Today, we're down what? I mean, last I looked, we were down 0.5% again.
Right. So obviously, one death is too many, but to put it into a bigger perspective, let's talk about the flu.
The flu. Everybody loves to talk about the flu.
Everybody loves to talk about the flu. So what a lot of people don't realize is if we look at the 2017 to 2018 flu season, which is considered the deadliest flu season.
It's huge.
Right? There were 647,000 people hospitalized and 61,000 deaths in the U.S.
In the U.S. alone.
Yeah, from the flu. Right. But you didn't hear all of the talk about, the pandemic and the world's. But that was a much, much bigger impact. So, in fact, I know you were just reading it. How many deaths are they anticipating this year?
Oh,
it was like 30,000.
Yeah, it was like 30,000 deaths from the flu in the U.S. In the U.S. alone that they're anticipating for this flu season. It's not even over yet, and that's what they're expecting. Right now, we looked and it was 12,000 deaths so far.
No, 8,500 so far. Yeah, 8,500 okay. 8,200 so far.
Right, and they're expecting another 22,000.
So, right. So, I mean, imagine, following every case hour by hour. You would be terrified just from watching news about the flu.
You would act like Rob and wear masks to the gym.
I'm thinking about starting to do that. You never know. You can't be too safe, Brian.
No.
And here's the deal about the coronavirus. A lot of talk is in China. Right, because that's where most of the cases are.
Most of the cases are there, but it popped up in Italy. It popped up in Spain.
It's popped up a little bit here.
Yeah.
So but the actual death rate, from it is like 1%.
Yeah, something like that. It's yes, it stinks no matter what, but it's not anywhere near, in my opinion, that we should be that worried about it.
Yeah, well, it's like you said. If you have time to go. If you are still contributing to your retirement plans, if you're still saving, then what does this bring? A little short-term dip brings chances to buy more on sale.
Well, I got a phone call this morning on my way down to Colorado Springs from one of my clients that had in one of their accounts had 80,000 in cash. I'm like, hey, can we just invest today 40 of that?
So sure, it's an opportunity.
So we did.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when it comes to news in general, I like to ask the question, is it a short-term topic or a long-term trend? Right. Because news is typically not news. What we hear on the day-to-day, especially on the financial talk shows and things like that, it's mostly just noise. It doesn't affect you personally. There's nothing that you can do about it. And it doesn't usually present both sides of the story.
It doesn't.
It's designed to scare.
It is designed to, think about those numbers compared to the flu. If they were out there saying the flu is causing this and the coronavirus is causing this, everybody be looking at it and saying, okay, I guess the flu is more to worry about than the coronavirus.
Right. But really, what is news? We have to remember what it is. News is an outlet for advertising, which means that they need eyes on the screen. And what do people flock to? Typically it's greed and fear are big motivators. Right. Well, the news uses fear as a big motivator.
It does constantly. And then they use greed to motivate advertisers to get you sitting there so they can sell you more stuff.
They're using it both, right? Yeah. So, here's what I would say. If you want to read the news, watch the financial headlines, do all of these kinds of things.
You only watch the Money Puzzle podcast.
Well, I do like that.
Yes.
So, or just sit back and think for a minute. Are they presenting both sides of the story? Right. Is this worth paying attention to? And then, quite frankly, if you're concerned about it, what should you do? The same thing. Email your financial advisor or make a phone call to find out, do I have a plan in place that is set up for this? Do we need to make changes? But don't look at what's just happening in the news. How is it going to impact you personally? Right. Now, if you are retired already, right, and maybe taking income from your portfolio, from all of your accounts, and you're not putting money in, well, then maybe you need to think about it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
it should have already been set up that way.
That's right.
So you don't have to think about it differently. But even if you do, you call your financial advisor and say, hey, where am I sitting? How is this going to affect me? So like one of the things I did today is I signed some paperwork to put a year's worth of income into cash for a client. This is just part of the annual process that we go through with this particular client. So we know for at least 1 year, no matter what happens in the market, we have that income sitting there.
Yeah. So retirees who are not putting money in and just have to take money out, you should already have a plan set up that accommodates or, takes into consideration the dips.
Yeah.
You don't have all of your money invested the same way when you're in retirement. And if you do, it is time to review your retirement plan.
Absolutely.
Right. So, all right. So that's it for, what is noise versus what is news. We are under the impression that, will this happen again in some other kind of virus?
Well, how many viruses have there been? I mean, just in the 21st century, there's been 3.
So, yeah. So, I mean, will it happen again? Yes. Right.
It's going to happen.
It's just a matter of time. But if you look at the overall economy, it's still going strong. If you look at the gross domestic product and how we expect the country to grow, it's still expected to grow.
It's still expected to grow. I mean, first quarter estimates, first quarter, we're not even into March yet, is still expected at 2%, even with the corona outbreak.
That's right. And they are saying that, yes, it is slowing down some China production, but they're already getting that figured out, and they expect to have it all caught up and made up, by the going into the third quarter.
Yeah, if you listen to the news, the noise, as Rob puts it, you would think that production in China has stopped. In reality, it's still around 60% of capacity.
Yeah. So it's, is it down?
Yes.
One other just comparison real quick that I wanted to bring up earlier was way back in 1918.
Oh, yes.
Right? We had the Spanish flu, which actually killed hundreds of thousands of people in the United States, right? And it was a bad ordeal, but we didn't have the medical infrastructure. Right. We didn't have the antibiotics. We didn't have the doctors. We didn't have any of that stuff.
The number one thing, the most important thing, knowledge.
So the knowledge, that's right. So even in an event like that, the Spanish flu, which killed hundreds of thousands of people here in the U.S.
What was the number? Do we know?
Hundreds of thousands.
It was a lot.
Yes, it was. I think in 19 it was harder to keep track of people than it is today. But they do know it was hundreds of thousands. But even that, we overcame, right? We figured out a solution, a cure for that. So, and even back to the last, pandemic, it took about 20 months to get drugs to the market.
It took 20 months for the SARS. For this one, I mean, there's already 2 in trial. That was announced yesterday. And so was it 3 months? 2 months? 3 months?
So it moves faster and the solutions come quicker and it is being dealt with. But the bottom line is don't let the news drive, or the noise, drive your financial decisions. Have a conversation to find out, am I set up for it? Am I prepared for it, right? Can we tolerate it? Does it create a buying opportunity? And is it a short-term topic or a long-term trend?
Yeah. And the other thing to watch out for, if I'm not here next week and it's only Rob,
you never know.
You never know.
You never know. So, all right. I think that's it for this week. Appreciate you hanging in there and watching. If you got some value out of it, please share us with somebody that you know who needs to hear it. If they're scared about the noise that's going on there, make sure that they hop on here and listen. Give us a rating on YouTube or on the podcast app you're checking us out on. And other than that, we'll be back next week. And next week we are talking about
traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs, since we are in tax season.
That's right. Looking forward. Until then, go out there, have some fun, be safe, and do something to improve your money puzzle. Your future self will thank you for it.
Bye.
See ya.
Registered representative of and securities offered through Securities Management and Research, Inc., SM&R. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through BFC Planning, Inc. Edge and Insurance and Financial Services, Johnson Financial Services, SM&R, American National Family of Companies, and BFC Planning are independent entities. There are risks involved with investing which may include market fluctuation and possible loss of principal value. Particular investments may not be suitable for certain situations. Carefully consider the risks and possible consequences involved prior to making an investment decision. Our firm does not provide legal or tax advice. Be sure to consult with your own legal and tax advisors before taking any action that may have tax implications.